Hey ladies, it's Amanda from the Queen of Lean, and I've put together a very special video for you today because I did a shout out on social media, and what I discovered is that 80% of you are just downright confused about how to activate your core. So when I heard this, I was like, oh my God, we need to fix this. And I'm going to give you some tips. I'm going to give you some technical cues around it, but then I'm also going to give you this hack that is going to give you an aha moment with core activation like never before. So follow along. So first of all, with core activation, what you want to think about is the muscles. You need to create a cylinder to activate and really protect through your core and to get what's called co-contraction of the muscles. So this includes your pelvic floor, and we'll go through a couple of cues. It also includes your diaphragm. Now you don't have to think about contracting your diaphragm. That's something that's going to happen automatically for you. Then there's the transverse abdominis, and then you're also going to be activating through your back muscles, but that's also not something that you have to really cue or think about. So for pelvic floor activation, some of the cues that we like to use is either thinking about, if you're lying down on your back with your knees bent up, thinking about trying to draw a marble in. Another cue can be like trying to pull a tampon in as well. It's just trying to work the right part. But you should feel a lift through those muscles. And it's not that you have to over-activate as well. That's an important thing to remember. Now, for the transverse activation, it's thinking about, like I always give the cue that you should feel when you're drawing in through your core muscles, you should feel that you get skinnier and not that you're pushing out. A lot of the time people think push out because they feel those outer muscles switching on, like your six-pack muscles. But that's really what we don't want to be working, because typically the muscles on the external part of your core are typically stronger, and what we want to do is work the internal muscles. So my hack, get ready for it, is this is something that I learned, must be like 15 years ago when I first got into the industry. But what you can do is hum until your core muscles switch on. So when you do your humming, the important thing is that when you feel like you're running out of breath, don't re-breathe, push through that, and then you'll get to a point where your core muscles do switch on. So I'm going to do it for you, where you just go, At that point where I'm running out of breath, you should feel that your core muscles are switched on. So I'm going to show you a way to check your core activation from a lying position. So I'm just going to back it up a little bit. So lying down on your back and having your knees bent up, what I'm going to do is slide one hand into my lower back, and then the other hand, I'm going to find my hip bone, go in a centimeter, and then down a centimeter. So while you're lying on your back, you have those two positions. Now what you're looking for is, with the hand that's on the front, you should feel that when you're activating correctly, that the muscles lower and you feel a tightening of the muscles. And then the hand that's in your lower back, you should feel that when you activate through your core, that if you've got a little bit of a lordotic curve here, that it does reduce. It's not that you want to over activate and like slam your back into your hand muscle, or like your hand muscle, sorry, into your hand. But also don't use your hips as well. Make sure that it is coming from the core activation. So I would recommend using that as a feedback when you're doing your humming. So you would lie in this position, hum along, get to a point where you feel that activation. Now, the important thing to remember as well is we are sort of teaching your brain how to activate those muscles. So a lot of the time, like when I find that people are doing a core class, they're in the mindset of like trying to rush through the reps and get it done. This is more about really learning that activation, connecting and being able to breathe over the top of the activation. So I would recommend going into that position, humming, and then after you finish your hum and you can feel what it's supposed to feel like to have those core muscles on and also activate through your pelvic floor, just spend a minute to 5 minutes trying to keep your core on and controlling your breathing over the top of it. Then you would then progress to exercises that are a little bit more challenging. Now, typically they can be things like leg slides, which I'll show you in a second, but it's really about slow, controlled moves, and it's not that you're just like sliding your legs in and out, because guaranteed you won't have that core control. So another thing that's important to know as well is this is retraining your core in kind of like a rehab model. So the goal is like when your core is activating really, really efficiently, it should be that as soon as you look at something heavy, your body automatically switches that on. But it's just because like over time, we've lost that strength, we've lost that connection, and this is us retraining it in a controlled environment so that you're getting your core strong again. So I'll show you those leg slides. And what I would recommend is lying down in that position, hand in your lower back, find that hip bone in a centimetre, down a centimetre, and then we're going to hum. I'll just pretend I went for a little bit longer then. And then just focusing on getting your breath and keeping that tightness. Now, for your leg slides, you would breathe out and draw your tummy in tight. As your leg goes out, breathe in, draw it in tight again, and then switch to the other side. So this should feel really hard. Typically what I see is that people are just moving through that motion. Their core muscles are switched off, and when their core muscles switch off, you'll lose that tightness in the arch of your back. And then your ab muscles will also pop up about 0.5 centimetre. So you need to reactivate. So I would recommend going through this really, really slow. Even as I said, just getting that first position without the legs moving. Feel what it feels like. Build that brain muscle connection. And then once you are ready for doing the leg slides, I would then aim to do 20 reps of that with keeping your core muscles on. So make sure that the hand that is palpitating in a centimetre, down a centimetre from your hip, that you're pushing into the muscle, and you can feel for that when it does pop up and you know, hang on a sec, I haven't switched that on, I need to reactivate. And you should also feel that like when your pelvic floor is on, you feel that tightening as well. So a lot of information here. All else fails, hum till you lose breath. That's going to teach you what muscles you're looking for, and then build it on all from there. But it's really about, it works your brain as much as it works your muscles. So, but when it does come together, and when you do nail it, you'll be all over it. So if there's any questions, post them in the comments, but I hope you found this super helpful. I'm Amanda from the Queen of Lean, and I will see you soon.